Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something called the IPv6 Shadow. It's this silent, gaping vulnerability that might be completely bypassing your entire security setup as we speak. You might feel totally confident in your privacy, but we're going to look at a fundamental flaw in how your devices are actually connecting to the internet.
So, your DNS isn't leaking. You made sure WebRTC is disabled. You're completely anonymous, right? Well, not quite, because there is an entire version of the internet that your VPN might just be completely ignoring. And that's exactly what we are going to uncover today.
To really understand the core of this problem, you have to realize that there are essentially two separate internets running in parallel on almost every single device you own. We usually think of an IP address as just one single thing, right? But modern networking actually operates on two completely distinct protocols side by side.
Think of the older system, IPv4, as your standard, simple box. This is the protocol that uses those classic sets of numbers, like 142.250. Every single VPN on the market is heavily built around hiding this specific box. But because the world literally ran out of these standard addresses, a newer system had to be introduced. So running quietly alongside the old standard is IPv6. It's a much more complex system with these long alphanumeric strings, and it is active on most modern networks and smartphones without you ever even configuring it. And this gap between the protocol your VPN was built for and this complex new one running in the background, that is exactly where this massive leak lives.
Having these two systems running parallel sets us up for a really dangerous false assumption the second you click Connect on your VPN app. To see the leak, just look at a normal, unprotected connection. Both your IPv4 and your IPv6 traffic go straight from your device to your internet provider and right out to the web. Literally nothing is hidden.
But here is the grand illusion. Almost everyone falsely assumes that when they activate their VPN, it grabs both of those connections, the IPv4 and the IPv6, and wraps them securely inside a single impenetrable tunnel. One VPN, everything protected, right? You turn it on, and you naturally assume the entirety of your network traffic is covered. But that assumption is exactly where everything goes sideways.
Because the reality behind the scenes is drastically different. Instead of both protocols going neatly into that secured tunnel together, the traffic actually splits.
Here's what's actually happening. A lot of VPNs, especially older configurations, certain router setups, and even some commercial apps in specific modes, they only tunnel the IPv4 traffic. The IPv4 gets that nice green checkmark, it's hidden and secure. But the IPv6, it quietly just keeps going straight out through your normal ISP connection. It completely bypasses the VPN tunnel. And here is the real kicker. It's not bypassing the tunnel because it's somehow actively blocking your VPN, or because your software crashed. It bypasses it because the VPN software was simply never told to handle it in the first place. It literally just walks right around it.
Now, you might be wondering why on earth this happens by default on modern networks. Is this just some rare, super technical glitch? I can assure you it is not an edge case. It's incredibly common, and it comes down to three very standard reasons. First off, the VPN protocol itself often only defines IPv4 routes. Protocols like WireGuard absolutely need explicit IPv6 instructions, and if they're missing, the traffic isn't blocked, it's just ignored. Second, dual-stack networks are now the standard default for most home ISPs and mobile carriers, meaning they enable both protocols automatically, right out of the box. And third, and this is the one that surprises a lot of people, if a website offers an IPv6 connection, modern devices will actively prioritize and prefer that path over IP4. So, for a huge chunk of your internet traffic, bypassing the tunnel isn't a glitch at all. It is the default path.
All right, so this brings us to what is easily the most concerning part of this whole explainer, the false confidence you get from your software's interface. This right here is what makes the IPv6 Shadow so incredibly dangerous for your privacy. You know the feeling. You pull up your typical VPN dashboard, and it looks perfectly clean. It gives you that reassuring green checkmark, confirming your IPv4 is hidden and your DNS is protected. Every single indicator on the screen tells you you're completely secure, making you feel like you've done everything perfectly right.
But the stark reality is completely different. While your dashboard is giving you a clean bill of health, the destination website is actually receiving your real, traceable, ISP-assigned IPv6 address. It is attached directly to the exact same web request you thought was totally anonymous. You are broadcasting your true location and identity through the Shadow protocol, while your VPN is proudly insisting your primary protocol is completely safe.
Okay, take a deep breath. Don't panic. Now that you actually know this shadow internet exists, fixing the gap and taking back control of your privacy is totally doable.
Verifying your setup is entirely within your control.
Testing this literally takes 30 seconds. You just navigate to a site like ipleak.net or test-ipv6.com. Both of these are fantastic tools that will show your IPv4 and IPv6 addresses side by side. What you are looking for here is a mismatch. If your IPv6 result shows your real ISP location, like the actual town or city you are sitting in, while your IPv4 shows the location of your VPN server, well, you've just confirmed the leak.
If you do find a leak, you can fix it by taking one of 3 approaches. Step 1 is the absolute simplest. Just disable IPv6 system-wide on your operating system's network adapter. If you turn it off at the OS level, that eliminates the leak path entirely, simply because there's no IPv6 traffic left to leak. Step 2, if you want to keep IPv6 active, is to explicitly enable it in your commercial VPN settings. Providers like ProtonVPN, ExpressVPN, and NordVPN do support this, but you can never just assume it's on by default. You actually have to go into the settings and flip the switch yourself. And step 3, for the power users out there using a manual WireGuard config, you need to explicitly include an IPv6 address and route in both the interface and the allowed IPs fields, rather than just defining the IPv4 route.
To wrap all this up, if you've been following along with our recent privacy explainers, this might sound a bit familiar. WebRTC, DNS, and now IPv6. They are completely different technical mechanisms for sure, but remember this vital lesson: they represent the exact same core problem. A VPN only protects the specific layer it was explicitly built to protect. Anything running quietly outside of that specific layer, that is on you to find, identify, and close.
So here is your final takeaway. Go run the IPv6 test on your setup right now. Take the 30 seconds just to be absolutely sure. Because if you check your setup and you've patched the WebRTC leak, secured your DNS, and closed this IPv6 shadow, you can finally ask yourself, I'm anonymous? Right? Well, for your browser, maybe. But what about all those apps silently phoning home in the background of your operating system? We're going to tackle that blind spot next time. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and stay secure out there.